Hey everyone, welcome to the Copy Corner with your host, Terry Schilling.
And Dan Marzullo.
Yes, this is our little corner of the internet. We like to share copywriting marketing tips to help you sell smarter, write more effectively with copy. And today we want to talk about a really popular topic and an important one that I think gets overlooked a lot, Dan, and that's refreshing your past performing content, right? So go ahead and let's start the discussion today, Dan. I'll let you lead the way.
Yeah, sounds good, Terry. So I think, a lot of people ask the question, it's as a marketer, you're always asking the question, how do I get more traffic to my content? How do we get more engagement, get more eyeballs? And usually the brain goes to, okay, let's create this new piece of content tackling, this topic, XYZ, whatever subject matter it is, right? And then they put all these resources in creating something brand new. So we often overlook all the time, the value in just refreshing an old piece of content, right? So, what I mean by that is take a blog post that you wrote 2 years ago and update it, for the new year, what's changed, that certain stats or something that you've referenced in the article, update them so that they're current. Or if new infos come out on that subject, add to that post and make it a longer, more in-depth informational resource. A great way to do that is look through all your past content that you've written and find the highest performing, the best pieces that have sparked the most conversation or engagement, and use those to spend that time and effort into, refreshing and updating it. Cause that's going to be a great way to get you more of an SEO boost than you already had from the post and spark new readers and new engagement than you had from when you released it, right? It's something that we don't do very often, but it's, top marketers are doing this, and they're seeing a ton of payoff for it. So that's kind of what we're talking about today, Terry.
Yeah. And Dan, could you be a little bit more, or give us a specific example? Can't speak. A specific example besides, because I think the easy way is to be like, the 2019, XYZ ways to achieve this, right? So what would be a better way than just updating it to 2021?
Yeah. So there's a lot of posts, right? It's like I'm trying to think of an example here, but top, community resources for something, for X for 2020, right? Well, in 2021, maybe there's 10 new organizations that popped up. So it's not just changing the dates in the post, right? That's kind of the, you're not going to get as much for that. Yeah, that's the lazy way to do it, Terry. But, find some new organizations or new resources and then literally add, 2 to 3 paragraphs for each of the new, developments that have popped up within that last year. So it's change the dates, sure, make the stats relevant, but add more content. Because also you got to think in mind too, right? Maybe people that have already read your blog in 2020, they're looking for new resources now that it's 2021. So you don't want to just regurgitate the same thing and waste their time. If they're going to put their effort into rereading that again, give them some new information. So from an SEO standpoint, it does wonders.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned too earlier of just about how, you want to create this, content that can bring more traffic, to your site. And if it's a best performing piece, go ahead and update that, because people may be looking like they get that that dopamine hit, if you will, where it's like something new. So you have this new content, there's a new update to it, right? Like almost look to an example of like Spotify Wrapped. Like it's new every year. Now you may not have something like that, but it's just kind of that same of approach where if you have this every year, you write this top 10 list of resources, right? You're adding to that, people will look forward to that and get excited about it. It also helps you kind of limit of just like getting into a funk or like a creativity block. Like what type of content should I post today? Like you mentioned, go back and look at past performing pieces and find a way to update that. We've talked about repurposing content on this too. You can look at a past post and turn that into a LinkedIn post, a Twitter thread, an Instagram story, a TikTok video. There's ways to repurpose your content and then again, you can get new eyeballs on this content that you just updated.
Yeah, no, exactly, Terry. Repurposing is always, like we talk about too sometimes, it's always a great additional piece to this puzzle that you can get more traffic and eyeballs and engagement. So both of those together, I think it's a knockout.
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing, Dan, too. Could you see if you could explain a little bit more just like what Google sees when you update, past, good performing, pieces?
Yeah, no, that's
to rank.
Yeah, that's a great question, right? So the simplistic way to look at it is Google is always looking for the most up-to-date information, right? So if you Google something and say, how to wash your dog as your search phrase in Google, and the last article that was written on that topic was in 98, and nobody else has covered it, maybe that's the first thing you see. So if you can just come at it and say, oh, in 2021, here's the best way to wash your dog, you're going to outrank that, right? Because Google's like, wow, this is a way more relevant information. So just relevancy, number one. But number two, Google loves longer form content, right? Because usually the longer your post, the more in depth that article goes into that subject matter. And Google wants to feature, the most complete, comprehensive resource. So in addition to being relevant, now you're adding length because you're going more in depth on that topic. That's also going to help Google crawl and put your post to the top there. So that's kind of the two sides of that coin and why refreshing actually works from an SEO standpoint.
Yeah, no, I like that breakdown. I think that's super helpful, even just from my perspective, to go back and look at other pieces of content. So yeah, Dan, I appreciate that. And everybody, that's the topic today. We're back to keeping this less than 10 minutes or less. We've had a little bit longer episodes if you guys have been tuning in. But today we just wanted to touch on this because we feel like it gets overlooked. We've talked about repurposing content in the past, but not necessarily refreshing, old articles or maybe even old, type of, pieces of content that you guys have done. So I think this is a great way to, like we mentioned, get new traffic, maybe then highlight some new lead magnets that you could create from that, create new offerings, get new customers in the pipeline, prospects in the pipeline as well. I think this can really help you. So yeah, appreciate you guys listening. Dan, anything else?
No, that's it. That's my 2 cents for today.
Good, beautiful. You brought it today, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Terry.
Oh man, well, everybody, again, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, listening. We do this live on YouTube, but thank you for listening on the podcast. Our downloads and listens are jumping, so we appreciate you guys spreading the word and listening. But again, if you're new to this, go on Apple Podcasts, rate, review us, follow us on Spotify. We're pretty much everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. So thanks again. Keep showing support, and we will see you on the next episode of The Copy Corner.